You might remember from our previous video how I had made a watering bucket for my cats. Of course, they have to have a stepping stool, poor little darlings. This is a water bucket with a frisbee in it, and the frisbee has algae all over it, but it's got styrofoam inside, and that is to keep my honeybees from drowning when they're thirsty. And since I made that video way back, there's been no more drowned honeybees, so that worked out. Anyway, so I'm gonna have to call this my bucket list of inventions, because I'm making another invention out of buckets. This is Texas. Fire ants are ubiquitous. Giada! It's Giada! My black cat with the white belly. She's getting a little old, but she's a sweetheart. Herbs. Peppers, tomatoes. It's my moringa tree. My teardrop garden, I call it. The neighborhood El Gatos. Neighborhood Gato. That one there loves to eat. He's always the first one at the feeding trough, and the last one. Bamboo that got out of control, that I got it under control. My fig plants, they're growing. My figs are growing. Cacti, bananas, moringas. So the issue I was presented with was, I've got these neighborhood cats. This neighbor back here thinks that they're my cats, but they're not. They're feral cats. We've got an arrangement. I feed them, I give them water, and they hiss at me and run away from me whenever I come around. That's our arrangement. Anyway, I got a problem though. My Giada cat, right over here, she's in the shade. She's been spayed, and previous owners who I rescued her from had declawed her. So she's pretty helpless, but she will not be house trained no matter what I do, no matter how much I try. So she lives in the backyard in the garden. So I have to protect her from the elements. One problem is she, and all the cats, if the food gets wet, they won't touch it, no matter what. And if a hummingbird just came by here. She saw me. She's back up behind the branches here. Now, if the ants find the food, the cats also won't touch it. They're very finicky. They won't touch it if anything has disturbed it. So I'll have to have their food protected in such a way that it does not get damp and it does not get bugs. And this is very difficult because, as I say, this is Texas. Fire ants are ubiquitous. Also, this is going to be the last video I make on the phone that you're watching here, because although the phone has been working perfectly for many years, Verizon has to make some money, so what they have to do is what's called planned obsolescence. Planned obsolescence is when you design something to fail, so people have to come back and buy another. So they're changing the network, so this phone won't work on the old network. throw it away, buy a new one. Thanks, Verizon. Okay. So, yesterday I woke up with a dream, and in this dream I had this image of a cat feeder mechanism, and so I thought, well, that might work. So I went out to the garage and didn't see the stuff that I needed to make the one that I saw in my dream. So instead I looked around and I saw other things, and I thought, that's going to work really nice. So of course I go in my garage and I see buckets. So what kind of buckets do I have? I have a small bucket and I have a larger bucket. Be careful with buckets and babies. Buckets and babies don't mix. Okay, so I got a small bucket and a large bucket. In my dream, I had the bowl of cat food floating, or use some kind of a netting or wiring to hold it suspended. But why do I need to do that? I can just do this. And then I can do that. So, but what about the ants? Well, the ants do find things, don't they? Eventually the ants would find its way here, and they would go up here, and they would go down here, and they would go to the bottom and go across and come up here and find their way in here and infest the cat food. But nay, what we're not going to do is allow that to happen. What we're going to do, the enemy of ants is Dawn detergent and water. If you take Dawn detergent and water and you put it all over an ant nest, you will kill all the ants that touch it, because they don't have lungs. Ants don't have lungs. They don't breathe like we do. They have microscopic openings in their bodies, and it draws in, when they move around, it draws in air into their abdominal cavities, and these things called spiracles, which absorb the oxygen and distribute it through their body. So if you take Dawn detergent and mix it with water, and you spray it on an ant, or you pour a bucket of it on an ant bed, they just die immediately, because they immediately cannot absorb any oxygen. So normally ants can float on water, but the Dawn detergent breaks up the surface tension of the water, so immediately the ants drown, so to speak, and they're dead. So, as I was saying, so now we have soapy water. You put the bucket in, get the air out, and now you have an ant moat. I might have to put a hole in here to let the air out. So we got an ant moat. We can put the food on here, and now the ants can't get to it. They have to cross the moat of poison, or they'll drown. Okay, so we're done. Nope, we're not done. We have to build a roof for it to keep the rain out, right? So you get just some aluminum foil, heavy duty, which you can use from these and stuff, flatten it out. And then you get a yard sign. It's got these wires on it, right? I got mine from, I think I might have gotten it from the McCain Palin candidacy yard signs. It's the only useful thing I ever got from them. And you bend it. Oh, the other useful thing is you can use the yard signs for your rock garden to keep the weeds out. The only value that he gave to me was an old yard sign, which is good for holding back the weeds under your rock garden. So thanks, John McCain. Okay, so like I was saying, I am not a hoarder. It just takes a while to use everything. Okay, so you got this, the wire from the yard sign. and it's got like an H shape. I went ahead and put one on here, the roof on it, and wired it up. What you find out, these things are hard to bend. So this is called a little, I think it's called a spark plug wrench, whatever. You can put it on like this, and then you can bend things. You hold on to it just a certain way and you bend it. So you measure, you mark stuff with your marker, and you measure it about what you want. Now I used tape to put the aluminum foil on, and then I spray painted it, of course. Anyway, you got these lips on here, on this bucket, fortunately, and I had like an old screwdriver. You heat it up in a fire, and then you punch a hole and it goes right through. So I measured those and marked it with my marker all around. And then you get, after you do, most of the work is what I'm showing you here. You get your little spokes of the wheel, so to speak. Hook it in there, and then you hook the next one. It takes two hands, but you get the idea. And you do the other side. Okay, so now I got the four legs, and they're all hooked in here, so they're not going anywhere. And I taped on the aluminum foil, which I took from these guys. Now the bowl just goes in there, it stays dry, everything's cool. So what I did was, just the aluminum foil, the rain was getting in on the sides and stuff. So I put a little hand towel and use these little clips. And now the water from the rain hits it, it doesn't splash all over, it hits the towel, it's wicked away to either side. And I've tested it and it works. There's no rain gets in here. So the food stays dry. The little babies get their stepping stool. It's an old barbecue. They get their little stepping stool, put a towel on it so their little paws wouldn't get hot. So now they got water. So that's my latest bucket invention. This is Giada. There she is. She looks real happy, doesn't she? Giada is Italian or Spanish or something for jade. She had a friend cat, no longer with us. His name was Argento, and that was, I think, Latin maybe for silver. So it was jade and silver, but he's gone. Argento had 6 toes and kaleidoscope eyes. 6 toes, 6-toe cat. Anyway, he kicked the proverbial bucket with his 6 toes, which is not easy to do. He had 6 legs and he had kaleidoscope eyes. Not 6 legs. Yeah. Let me start this. There are buckets in my garage.